Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Becky. Welcome. So today I have this brilliant idea to share with you 4 holiday inspired Liege waffle recipes. But before I do start showing you those different recipes, there are 3 different things I want to share with you, which is like the differences between a regular waffle and a Liege, Belgian Liege waffle. So for like a regular waffle, the batter, it's more of a wet batter, and a Liege waffle has a yeast activated dough that needs time to ferment. And then the second difference is that a regular wet batter for like the regular waffle doesn't really call for any unique ingredient. It just uses a leavening agent as per usual, like you would use in a pancake or something. But for a Liege waffle, you do need yeast and a very unique ingredient called a pearl sugar. The pearl sugar really helps with the glaze, the caramelization, and the crunchiness, and also adds a little bit to the flavor development of the waffle as well. And the third, but not the last, of the difference between a regular waffle and a Liege waffle is a regular waffle, you can mix the batter together, let it sit for a couple minutes, hit up the grill and get to work right away. But with a Liege waffle, it depends on how you approach it. There are 2 different fermentation steps involved. Some people let it ferment for a couple hours at room temperature and then shape it up and then start making it right away. But the recipe that I will be following today will be doing 2 different unique fermentation processes, which is one that is fermenting it at room temperature for 1 to 3 hours approximately, and then the other one is actually fermenting in a cold refrigerated temperature overnight for like 10 plus hours or 6 plus hours, depending on how much time you want to leave it in there for. That also helps with flavor development, so I was told, and I think that's true because I tried it and I can tell that there's a bit of flavor development that happens when it's in the fridge. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. But before I start, I must tell you that if you do decide to make this waffle for yourself or your family, or if you have guests over and you want to have it, I would advise making the dough and making all the preparation the day before, and then have it, for example, if you want to have it on a Saturday, maybe start working on it on a Friday. If you want to have it on a Sunday, maybe start working on it on a Saturday. But if you're just like, I don't care, I cannot be bothered, I'm just gonna make it, I'm gonna make the dough, let it rise, and then just get to work right away, hit up the grill and start making waffles, that is up to you. There are options, it's not set in stone, it's whatever you want to do. So without any further ado, now that we have the overview out of the way, today I actually decided to trade the lab coat for an apron. So because I'm just going to be mixing, baking, and I just want something that is more comfortable to work with, that I can get dirty and not really mind about it. So yeah, without any further ado, we're going to get right into it. But before we start, I know I've said that twice now, sorry. But before we start, I would be sharing with you 4 different recipes that holiday inspired. So one of them is going to be a white chocolate peppermint. Can't get enough of it. Obviously there's candy cane everywhere. It's only fitting that I do that flavor. The second one would be a sugar frosted cookie, and the third one is going to be a hot chocolate, and the fourth one is going to be a gingerbread inspired one. So these are all different stuff that I've had to customize based on recipe that I found on the internet for like a plain waffle, and then just tweaking it here and there to see what works best, and then going off of that. So now we can finally start. So key things that I want to point out as I'm like getting everything prepped for the first recipe. I picked up this honey from Aldi, and it's an acacia honey that is from Hungary, and this particular honey has an actual honeycomb in it. Look at it, that's an actual honeycomb just sitting right in the jar. Like, this is insane. I've never seen anything like it before, so it was pretty cool to pick this up. I needed honey. I'm sure this is not the honey that the recipe called for, but marketing got to me and I gave it. And then the other thing was that I ordered like this thing called creme de menthe. So creme de menthe, I think it means cream mint, or like cream of mint. When I bought it, I did not look at the volume. I just thought it was like a 2-ounce flavor that would just come in. When it came in, it was so tiny. I'm sure you can't even tell that I'm holding anything right now because it's that tiny. This is what came, and it's the tiniest thing I've ever held in my, it's so tiny. It is so ridiculously tiny, I can't believe it. And it looks so precious. I can't even bring myself to use this. So for that reason, I'm just gonna let this continue to stay as cute as it is, and instead go for this, a peppermint extract instead for the peppermint flavor, because I can't bring myself to use this. It's too precious. So for this first recipe, for the white chocolate peppermint, we already have our ingredients laid out here. So this is milk. This is 1/4 cup of milk, 1/8 cup of warm water, 1 teaspoon and a half of yeast right here. And then we have 3 tablespoons of sugar. We have 1 tablespoon of honey. We have eggs here. 1 egg, not a lot. I would just weigh this in. So we have peppermint extract and vanilla extract. I'll be using 1/4 tablespoon of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of the peppermint. I don't want it to be too strong because I'm gonna have crunch candy cane in there. I'm gonna be putting, I don't have it. I'm gonna put in candy cane crunch pieces in there, so I don't want the peppermint flavor to be too strong. Then I have like salt. I have 1 teaspoon of salt in here, 1/4 tablespoon, no, 1/8 cup of unsalted butter, all-purpose flour, 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour, and I think that's it. I'm gonna get the sugar, brown sugar, and I think we should be off to the races with this first recipe. And here is the brown sugar that I'll be using. So it's slightly less than 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. So this is it. And then now we can start mixing, because this recipe calls for a lot of mixing to get the dough to form. I tried mixing by hand yesterday when I was testing out the recipe, and Lord knows it was a lot of hard labor that I did not need. I did not need that level of labor. It was too much. So I ran out to go get this KitchenAid mixer. This one is a 5-quart bowl, I believe. It's actually very big. I don't need a bowl this big, but can't say no to a good sale now, can we? So we're gonna start with this, and then I'm going to start by pouring the yeast in first, and then we'll follow that up with the warm water that is probably cold by now. Warm water. The recipe calls for instant yeast. I bought active dry yeast, so I need to let it bloom a little bit. So what I like to do is to get the yeast to work a little bit faster, I like to add a little bit of sugar. So I'm just gonna go into this sugar that I already weighed out here, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of this and just pour it in. I think that's way more generous than I need, but that's fine. I'm gonna use this very cute little spatula. I got this and this from Crate and Barrel. Look at me plugging all these companies that are not paying me. Wow, me out here doing the Lord's work. Anyways, I got this spatula from Crate and Barrel, and I also got this apron from Crate and Barrel. They have really nice things, what can I say? So yeah, anyways, I'm gonna mix this a little bit. So right now I'm trying to get it to look more milky. So that's kind of like when the yeast has bloomed, is what they call it. I'm just gonna keep mixing with this little guy because this stuff is so shallow, there's no point putting it here and trying to mix it. So I'm just gonna mix this by hand because it's easier. So it should look more like this, like almost like a murky water. I'm gonna put this in and I'm gonna let that sit for 10 minutes. And I'm gonna like to cover it because I don't know, I feel like that kind of helps it a little bit to not get distracted. I'm just gonna use this guy. So 10 minutes on the clock starts now. this is the dough for the first one. It smells kind of pepperminty. I'm gonna put this in a bowl that is well greased for the first portion of that fermentation process for 1 to 3 hours approximately. So I'm just gonna put just a little, oh shit, that's, and then I'm gonna just use the silicone brush to distribute the oil. That's the first one. So this is the white chocolate peppermint. So I'll be adding the white chocolate piece and the crunch peppermint piece after tomorrow when it's done fermenting in the refrigerator. But for now, I'm not gonna add any of that right now because it's not gonna really help my situation, because I still need to roll this out, and it'll be quite the mess trying to roll out a dough that has chocolate pieces in there. It's not fun. So I'll just wait till tomorrow to do that. I'm gonna let this sit for 3 hours, which is gonna be 1 a.m. This is gonna be a long night. So now moving on to the second recipe, which is the sugar frosted cookie. These are all the ingredients that I'll be using. They're pretty much similar to what I used in the first recipe. The only difference is I would not be using peppermint extract in here because obviously it doesn't belong in this recipe, but I'll for sure be using the vanilla extract here. So same process, same procedure, just pretty much starting with the yeast, the sugar, the water, and the milk. Let that ferment, mix it together, let that ferment for, or bloom as they would call it, for like 10 minutes, and then add all the other ingredients, then form into a dough, and then I'll finish it up and show you what that looks like before the fermentation process starts. So this is what it's looking like, similar to the other one. Sit this guy in 3 hours. Time for me to get the chocolate one out. There we go. There we go. This is the hot chocolate inspired Liege waffle dough. It does not look cute, but it's gonna taste amazing, I feel. Ready. Put our dough in here. I am on to the last recipe for the night, and this is the gingerbread inspired Liege waffle. So for this, I'm going to be using 4 major spices. I already added the yeast, and the yeast, sugar, a little bit of sugar, warm water, and milk in here so that it can bloom. And then I'm just going to show you the spices. The ingredients are pretty similar across all 4 recipes. The only difference with this particular one is that I'm adding some ginger. As you can see, I'm adding some allspice, some cinnamon, and then some nutmeg. And that's really the only difference between all of them. Oh, and molasses. So I have a little of molasses in here to give it that like rich dark color that you see on gingerbread houses and gingerbread cookies and things like that. So I'm gonna get to adding, and then when I have the dough form, I will show you what that looks like. So this is what the gingerbread inspired Liege waffle dough looks like. I'm gonna put this in a bowl, let it ferment at room temperature for 3 hours. And take this guy into the bowl it goes. That's what that looks like. So this is the first dough, which is the peppermint one. I'll be putting candies in later on. So it looks like it's kind of almost doubled in size. I put it in a bag. I bought this bag from IKEA. I swear IKEA is not sponsoring me. I know at this level I am like calling IKEA's name too much, but that's what that looks like. It's risen a little bit, so I'm just gonna put it in here and let it continue its journey through fermentation in the fridge. So it's slightly sticky, but that's fine. Leave it in the fridge overnight and come back to this one tomorrow morning. So this is the frosted sugar cookie. Actually, this one rose a little better than the other one. I cannot explain why. Maybe because I turned on the oven a little longer. But here is the sugar frosted cookie dough. Sugar frosted cookie. Look at that beauty. So I'm just gonna do this. You can hear the like gas release. So this is the hot chocolate one. It's doubled quite a bit. So it's not at the 3 hour mark, but it's close enough. So I'm just gonna go with it. We are going to start the second phase of the Liege waffle process. So I'm gonna bring the dough out. They'll be sitting on the counter for a while. I'm gonna roll it out, stuff it with the pearls, the sugar pearls, and cut it up, let them sit, and then crank on the waffle maker. I did not have a waffle maker for this. I had a mini, which wasn't up to the task, so I had to get the right tool for the job. I had to pick this one up. It's an Oyster one. So I had to go pick this up. So I think that should do because it's kind of deep. So I'm hoping that that would help to be able to like form it properly. That's the goal. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I'm gonna start with the peppermint one, which is this one right here. I'm gonna be using a little bit of flour. We're gonna need some Ghirardelli white chocolate, peppermint crunch. We're gonna be using some of this guy. So flour the surface. I bought this one from Amazon, but they were so big. The pieces were mighty, they were like ginormous. So I had to put in a blender and just blend it. They're still quite big, if you can see. They're still quite big, but it's fine. There we go. So now the fun begins. I'm not gonna put all of this just because I have so many other pieces I need to put in here. I'm gonna use 1/4 cup of white chocolate. Just gonna put that on here. Then I'll just do same 1/4. That's what that one looks like. It's 1/4 of this. And just like so this is what we're working with right now. As you can see, it looks like a pizza almost, but not really. Let's do this, which pretty much just like pulls everything that way, and just do this, which kind of pulls everything that way. Some pieces are gonna come out, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. And then you pull this in this way, you pull it in that way. So this is what you have. And then it's like beads in there. It's such an interesting texture. So now I will flip this bad boy. Ooh, flip it me. And then I'm just gonna like do this. I'm gonna try to walk it into a log of some sort. As you can see, this is pretty stuffed. I'm just gonna keep trying to walk it into a log, which is me just trying to stretch it out, because all that is remaining is for me to cut it up, but I'm just gonna walk it into a log for now. 2, 3, oh gosh, there we go. I'm gonna try to do that. Hopefully that's not too big. So that's what I have, that here. So I'm gonna cover it with some plastic. Just gonna let them sit there for a bit. Next one is frosted sugar cookie. So I bought this. And just take off the frosting. Okay, I'm gonna put this aside for now. So I think I'm gonna use that and pearl sugar. Then that way you get the frosted sugar. And then we're gonna do this, which is some cookie pieces. This cookie is actually very soft. More like sprinkle it. Yeah, I think that's the one I was looking for. You just kind of sprinkle it all over. So we'll cover that, and then we'll move on to chocolate. Okay, so we have chocolate. Going with the sugar. And then we'll do 1 cup of milk chocolate, so we're using. That's the last of that one. That's all 5. Last but not least, gingerbread. Okay, that's that. I'm gonna be using this spray. I'll start with the first one. I'm gonna put it in here. And I try to spread it a little bit by hand. And I'm gonna go ahead and close it. And then I'm gonna flip it like that. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, guys. Look, tell me that doesn't look good. Just tell me that doesn't look good. Oh, it's working. Oh my gosh, that is what success looks like. That's very Belgian. You cannot tell me anything. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's very messy, but we're just gonna fly through this. We're just gonna keep going. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. The glaze, the caramelization, the candy cane with the red. The second one looks just as good. Look at that. I should start my own restaurant. This is a sign. This is a sign. I know what I'm doing. This is good. We are off to the races. This is looking amazing. Ah, I can't wait. I can't wait for all of them to just get that. Guys, look at this. this is how everything turned out. This is the white chocolate peppermint candy cane. This is the hot chocolate one. This is the gingerbread, and then this is the sugar frosted cookie. I was going to dress it with this funfetti and then put sprinkles on it, but honestly I just feel like it looks good the way it is. So I'm just gonna dive into them and taste them and let you know what I think. Start with this one. This is what it looks like. You can see the melted candy cane in there, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna bite. It's so good. That is so good. Oh my god. I'm gonna dive right into the hot chocolate one. I put some powdered sugar on it. This is what it looks like. Also, it's really good. If you really like chocolate, that melted chocolate really does elevate it. Without that melted chocolate, I don't think it would have been, I think it would have been okay, but I think having the melted chocolate really helps. Now we'll move on to the gingerbread. You can see this is what it looks like. You can see some of that sugar in there. Wow. That's really good. Wow, that's really good. I wasn't sure about this one because of the spices, and I was worried I'll be using too many spices in here, but the spices are well balanced. I used just 4 spices in here, which is allspice, ginger, nutmeg, and cinnamon, and they really balance each other very well, which I'm very happy about. So definitely a good one to try for sure. The last but not the least, which is the frosted sugar cookie. They like stick to each other because they're kind of glazed, and the melted sugar kind of like acts like almost like a glue. So that looks like that waffle maker is like the best waffle maker to use for something like this, because it helps with that puffed up shape that you see when you look at a lot of pictures online. It really does help to like make it, it doesn't get any better than this. This is so good. Definitely adding those cookies really helped with that profile for like the frosted sugar cookies. This was really fun to do. I'm like scared like this stuff stuck in my teeth. I think I must say that like they're a little bit on the dry side, but that's fine. But definitely you can put like syrup on them, you can put a scoop of ice cream on them. Really, you can eat it in whatever manner you want to, but I definitely would recommend trying it out and letting me know what you think in the comments down below. And that will wrap up this video. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.